Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Digital Asset Universe, and this is my first video, and we will be talking about digital assets, investing, misinformation, news, everything you can think of that revolves around digital assets. Now, I am not a professional. This is for entertainment purposes only, and I am making these videos because I am passionate about digital assets, and I think eventually digital assets will be a globally used thing. Now, let's get into who I am. My name is Nick, and a little bit about me. I am 29 years old. I was born in Newburyport, Massachusetts. I've lived all over the country. I served 6 years in the United States Air Force as an X-ray technician. I've worked various jobs. Right now, I am currently going back to school with my GI Bill to get my bachelor's in music production. I've been making music on and off for the last 7 or 8 years, but now I'm trying to take a little more serious, and I do have another channel for that, which I probably won't advertise right now, but I will eventually. But this channel is strictly about digital assets. Now, we're going to go over a few things today about XRP mostly. But this isn't only an XRP channel. XRP is one of my favorite coins. But we're going to go over Bitcoin. We'll talk about Litecoin. We'll talk about Ethereum. We'll talk about everything that you can think of. And there will be an episode for each one, or at least the ones that I think are worth talking about. Now, we're going to talk, like I said, we're going to talk about XRP today. We're going to watch a little short discussion. We're going to go over some quotes that I really love. And yeah, that's about it. This is going to be a short video. This is just an introduction video. We're not going to dive too deep into the rabbit hole, but eventually we will. We're going to get deep, folks. We're going to get real deep. And I'll tell you why. Because there's a lot of information out there. With the internet, you see, we have access to all the information that we need to find out what we need to find out in order to be successful in the digital asset market. Now, that doesn't mean everything you read on the internet is true, obviously. We know that there are a lot of lies going around. There are a lot of misinformation about certain coins, XRP. But we're going to go over that, and we're going to talk about the misinformation. XRP is one of my favorite coins. I am invested into XRP. And the reason I love XRP is because, one, like most digital assets, it is decentralized. The second thing I like about XRP is that banks are going to be using XRP. And I know some of you may not like that. Some of you may not like that XRP is going to be used by banks because maybe the whole point of Bitcoin being created was to move away from the banks. And I understand your point of view, and that's okay. But let me tell you something. It's not going to happen overnight. You can't expect to move away from something that's already established, that has been established for many years, to just suddenly disappear because there's a new technology. That's not how it works. So the reason I like XRP is because the company behind XRP, who doesn't own XRP, the software, the token, they do not own it. They own some of it, and we'll get into that, but they do not own it. Like I said before, XRP is decentralized. We're actually going to watch a video, one of my favorite videos, recent videos of that. But like I said, we're going to get into that, okay? And Ripple, anyways, like I was getting back to my point, Ripple backing the XRP token has made many partnerships with banks. And let's go over that first. I just brought this up. This is a list of the banks that Ripple is currently partnered with. Now, this is a pretty large list. I gotta say, I'm scrolling. I'm still scrolling. Okay, it stopped. But I don't know how updated this list is, to be honest. I really don't. I found this list online. I think there was another video I saw where they showed me this list, and I'm not even sure if this is the same one. It looks like the same one. I'm not sure if this is the updated one. But I'll link this below, and you can decide for yourself, or if you know a better link, you can decide to. This says 3/27/2019, updated 3/27/2019. So that's when it was updated. So, and I think by now they even have a better list. seems like an older one, but I'll still link it below. And if there is, a better one, you can send it my way, and we'll update that list. But this just goes to show that Ripple is, they're working with other banks, and they are trying to establish XRP as the global token. And do I believe that it's going to be the globally used token, the most used globally token for digital assets? Yes, I do. And we'll dive into that also. Now, I'm going to keep that open. We're going to go back to XRP. This is what I wanted to look at right here. Now, first thing we're going to hit about XRP is a lot of people worried about the current prices of XRP. And I actually have a little thing I downloaded where it shows the current prices of certain digital assets that I am looking at. And XRP is at 26.27 right here. And a lot of people are worried because there's been a huge drop off. And we were sitting at, I think, a good 30 cents, 31, 32 cents for a long time. And recently it went down to 26 cents. Now, it's pretty big. That's a pretty big drop for XRP. It doesn't seem like it, but it is. And the reason I brought this up, because I want to remind everybody that XRP is not in a fatal state right now. These are the all-time yearly lows of XRP. Now let's go over them. 2014, 0.003. That was the lowest it got in 2014. 2015, 0.004. 2016, 0.005. And 2017, 0.006. Now we have 2018 was 0.26 cents. Now we have so far this year gone below that. But what has it ended at? If the year ends under 26 cents, maybe we have a reason to really have speculation on what's going on. Currently, I think the market's being manipulated. But the reason I bring this up is because I want to remind everybody that since XRP has been shown to the world, it's gone up. And, there's really no disputing that. Now, a lot of people like to say, well, why hasn't it gone as high as Bitcoin if it's such a good coin? Well, you got to plant seeds in order for them to grow, and they don't grow overnight, And so my idea of what XRP is going to eventually be is bigger than Bitcoin, obviously. That's what I think. But I think it's going to take a longer time than what Bitcoin. See, Bitcoin, in my opinion, the reason Bitcoin got so big is because it was the first one. It's like the first idea. It's like when Napster first came out for music, for digital music. And everyone got into Napster. But what happened after that? Other softwares and other digital distributors came out for music, like iTunes and now Spotify, and you have Pandora, and YouTube has music. There's so many now. And so my idea of this whole thing, because I really do believe that history repeats itself, is that Bitcoin will, it'll still be around. I'm not saying it's the Napster, in the sense that it's going to disappear and no one's going to use it anymore. But I am saying in the sense that it's Napster, as in it's one of the first ones, obviously, or it is the first one that's globally recognized. And I don't think it's the best one. I think there's new technology out there. I think XRP is better because it's faster, it's cheaper. And I think that banks are going to use XRP. And the reason I think that is because of the list I showed you, and also because of the news that's circulating around with Ripple. Now, that being said, I brought this chart up on CoinGecko, and I was just going over it a little bit. And, this was actually before I started. I mean, I knew about cryptocurrency, but this is before I actually knew about XRP, when XRP hit its all-time high around $3 and, 40 cents? I think it was his all-time high. And this usually happens. This is actually a typical graph that you see in most cryptocurrencies. They usually hit an all-time high after the third, fourth, fifth year that they've been around, and they dip back down and they level off. But I think it's almost time for XRP to shoot back up. Now we're gonna get into we're also gonna get into some information about escrow. A lot of people don't know what the escrow is. They know that Ripple owns a lot of XRP, and that gets them thinking why do they own so much XRP? If they own more than half of it, then they must own XRP, and it must not be decentralized. It must be centralized. Well, that's just simply not true. You see, the original creators of XRP were a bunch of developers. They went by the name OpenCoin, and they actually gave the software, because XRP is a software just like digital assets all are. They actually gave the software to Ripple to use, but they gave it to them as a decentralized token, and they also gave them a bunch of XRP to release over a certain amount of time. Now let's read this right here. A list of all the Ripple's XRP in escrow with ending dates. So far, 20 escrows have ended, 1 billion each. The total amount of XRP in escrow has been reduced by 4.6 billion XRP so far. That is an average of 230 million per month. At this rate, it will take 219 months, 18 years and 3 months for the last escrow to finish, in November 2037. 6 months ago, the expected finish was April 2039 at the rate of 214.3 per month. The rate is expected to continue to increase dramatically with utility and adoption. So, what does this mean? 2037? I have to wait that long? Listen, XRP is not for weak hands. It's for strong hands, just like most investments. And what I want to tell you is that if you're invested in an XRP, don't expect for it to be a get-rich-quick scheme. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is a long-term investment. This is something that you invest in if you believe in it, okay? And in the history of investments, in the history of stocks, anyone who's sold off emotion has never gotten rich. I mean, you might have gotten some money, but when you're talking millions and millions of dollars, you don't get rich off of selling your shares because you're emotional about the price. That's not how people make it. People make it for staying strong and holding when no one else does. And that's how companies like Ripple will succeed, or the people who are invested in XRP will succeed, because Ripple's backing XRP. Because there's going to be a lot of people who are impatient, and I think that is because they are young and they don't understand long-term investments. And believe me, I didn't either for a very long time. I used to day trade, and yes, I've made money off of day trading and swing trading, but I think that investing in something long-term, especially something like this, is just way better. It pays off. It really does. And we're going to go over the reasons why. But this is just a list, and I'll actually put this in the video below the video also. This is a list of the dates that they're going to release XRP from escrow. And they're supposed to release 1 billion a month is what it looks like. But like this said, based on the utility and the adoption of XRP, this could increase. This could be a lot less. And from what we see here is, there's, billion. It looks like they're releasing it pretty fast, or at least this list is that's what it says on this list. So, I think that by 2024, 2025, we'll really see an upside in XRP. Obviously, I think before then we will, but I think there will be a lot of changes around 2024, 2025, just from the information that I've pulled. Now, I want to watch this little video right here. This video is of Sam I Am on the right and Alex on the left from Nuggets News. I don't really particularly know about Nuggets News too much. The only reason I found out about him is from a Facebook page that I follow. But I am subscribed to, and I'll actually subscribe to Nuggets News, but I'll subscribe to Sam right here. And I'll put his YouTube link below also. And he's a very, very intelligent investor, and he knows a lot about XRP, and he explains it well in this conversation. Now, we're not going to watch the whole video, obviously, but we're going to go over just one particular scene, which is right here. And it's going to talk about the centralized versus decentralized topic because there's a lot of misinformation going around about XRP and whether it's centralized or decentralized. And I think that Sam really hits it on the nail. I mean, he really explains it well, and I think that you guys are going to enjoy this. So let's watch this real quick. Let's do big screen, and let's watch him talk about it a little bit right now.
That XRapid brings.
Fantastic. Cool. Do you want to talk about the centralized versus decentralized argument? So, the Ripple company still holds 60% of the XRP tokens. They say, as you said before, that they can't freeze transactions. And it sounds that in a lot of ways it's similar to Libra in terms that there's not anyone can run a node, or maybe you can even clear that up. But at the same time, there's no one person that can freeze your account, as you say. So who is running the ledger and the nodes?
Okay, so nobody's in charge. If you want to, go out and buy a server, I spec it to do a commercial version. It's about $2,000, and you can download the software, install it. There's nodes which help with security and ordering transactions, I believe. And this is where Matt Hamilton can really go into detail if you want.
Yeah.
And then there's validators, which actually do the validation and create the blocks.
Yeah.
So it's permissionless. There is no hierarchy. Let's get into the whole freezing accounts thing because there's some FUD around that. So what I hear cited all the time is with Jeb McCaleb and, they froze his XRP, therefore it can be frozen. So what actually happened there is he had an agreement to sell his billion XRP that he got for being one of the founders.
Yeah.
And he donated some to charity. And then he continued selling his stack. Well, then the charity started selling what he had donated to them. So in effect, he was violating his agreement. What Ripple did is they went to the exchange that he was using. I think it was Binance. And they said, Binance, we've got this legal agreement. Here it is. He's violating it. Here's how he's violating it. Would you please freeze his account? And they froze his account and prevented him from selling. But you can't freeze the native digital asset XRP on the XRP ledger, okay? An issued asset, if you want to issue gold and you want to be able to freeze that gold on a per account or freeze it globally, you can do that. Okay. You can also set the no freeze flag where you permanently give up the ability to ever freeze your issuance. But that's not the same thing as XRP. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so I can't run a validator node. Those are selected. Is that right?
No, you can. Anybody that wants to run a node or a validator can do that. Ripple has what's called a UNL. I think it's a Universal Node List, which is their preferred list of validators. So there's you can have these different circles of trust. And that's basically a list of other validators that you trust to work with. Okay. And so various people in the community to get incorporated into the default UNL, which is Ripple's list of validators. They want to know who you are. They want to,
And so Sam goes on and he talks. This whole conversation is great, and I'll put the link below for Nugget News, but I'll also put the link to Sam's YouTube channel, which is To the Lifeboat, and you can follow him also, and he has a lot of great information. Now, besides that, let's see, how long will Ripple continue to release billions? We've already gone over that. We don't need to talk about that again. I want to go over some quotes by some of the most famous investors in the world, and we'll talk about Warren Buffett. Now, Warren Buffett says, "The stock market is a device from transferring money from the impatient to the patient." Impatient to the patient. This is a guy who has billions of dollars. Okay? Now, obviously, cryptocurrency market is not the stock market, but it runs almost similar to the stock market. The only difference is these are decentralized coins, and most of the time there's not... some of them they have companies that are backing the coins and a development team that is helping the coin succeed, but no one really owns the coin itself. And so that's the big difference between the stock market and the cryptocurrency market. But it's almost the same thing. You have people investing into these coins. And it applies, the impatient to the patient. That's all this game is it's people who are impatient versus the people who are patient. The people who have weak hands get shaken, and the people who have strong hands and hold will be successful. And that has always been that way. So listen to Warren Buffett. Just listen to him. Impatient versus the patient. What are you going to be? Are you going to be the impatient that drops the money out now because you're scared? Listen, you should never invest money that you are afraid to lose. Invest the amount of money that you're not afraid to lose. Let it sit, let it marinate, let it gain interest. You will not regret it. Next one, Warren Buffett. Only buy something that you'd be perfectly happy to hold if the market shut down for 10 years. Only buy something that you'd be perfectly happy to hold if the market shut down for 10 years. It means exactly what you are hearing, what you are seeing. If you're going to invest in something, especially something that you believe in, which is, the only reason you should really invest in something is if you truly believe in it. Invest in it knowing that it's a possibility that you could lose your money, a possibility that the market could shut down and you could not even make a dime until 10, 15 years from now. Don't worry about it. If you really believe something is going to be successful, and you invest in it, you should not worry about when the time is to sell. You should only worry about adding more into it if you really believe in it. And when the time comes, the time comes. Don't get the weak hands, I'm telling you. Look at the market fluctuations as your friend rather than your enemy. Profit from folly rather than participate in it. Now, I had to actually look up what folly means, and I think it means foolishness. So let's read that again. Look at the market fluctuations as your friend rather than your enemy. So when the market fluctuates, just like right now with XRP, it's going down 26, 25 cents. People are freaking out. They're running around on fire. Oh my God, what's going to happen? Take out now. And what are the other people doing? What are the people doing that are sitting there smiling, buying for a cheap amount, buying XRP for $1? That's what they're doing. That's what I'm doing. Profit from foolishness rather than participate in it. Profit from the people who are dropping their XRP because they're emotional. Don't participate in what everyone else is doing. Don't participate in the people who are getting scared. Participate in what? Why would I participate in dropping my money out when I believe in XRP? There's no point. Last quote by Christopher Brown. You can look him up. He's a famous investor, value investor. Buy stocks as you would groceries when they are on sale. What's on sale right now, folks? 2623. Man, sounds like a damn good deal to me. So when you go into Walmart and the prices of oranges went down to 50 cents, they went down 50 cents. Do you start freaking out and telling everybody not to buy any more oranges? No, you don't. You buy some oranges, especially if you love oranges, you buy them. Why? Because they're cheaper. And you can get 2 bags of oranges instead of 1 this time. Same thing applies. Don't get the weak hands. All right, folks, this is Digital Asset Universe, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. I know I didn't dive too deep into XRP or digital assets, but we will get a little bit deeper. This is just an introduction video and maybe a test, if you will. I just want to really get used to making videos, and I hope that you enjoyed at least the content of this video, even if it wasn't that informative. If there's stuff that I've already repeated that other people have said, I apologize if I sound like a broken record, because the other part of the YouTube community is doing the same thing I am, but I am really trying to get the information out there. And like I said, this is Digital Asset Universe, and have a wonderful day.